I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. A world without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Signal that shit. So that's how we get hype. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Welcome everybody to my show. Let's go to the desk here. What's up, guys? Welcome. I stand up in my chair a little bit here.
If you manage a team.
No ads. What's up, guys? So yeah, we're here with a special show today. It's definitely troll bait. So if you're here and you're a troll, that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, that video is just a little propaganda video to make sure you signal, because the most important thing in Bitcoin is to show your support for BIPs. Is to show your technical support. And wow, I look great in this Galaxy. I didn't realize this was on, but hey, we're looking good. We're looking good. What's up, people? What's up, people? So yeah, we're going to go into kind of the overview of what UASF is, user activated soft fork. And we'll see if it's like actually, like if the users actually did anything, and if it actually mattered. And I guess that's subjective, but yeah, I guess we'll just hop into it real quick here. So first we'll go into some news. Federal Reserve is now deploying a new payment system. It's called FedNow service, and it's basically it's basically like a PayPal. So instead of ACH payments, so instead of like bank payments, they'll basically somehow be instant. And it's set to release 2023, I think it was, in like 4 years. So so in a long time, but the Fed is getting into it. I believe in their paper they actually cited Facebook currency in it. So thanks Facebook for helping out the Fed here, and because everybody needs to get on the new cryptocurrency phase. Now the Federal Reserve is getting into it too, because that's totally who we were fighting all along, right? And so yeah, next piece of news here. Trump administration has now labeled China as a currency manipulator, and basically because their like price of their currency went down so much, Trump was like, hey guys, that you can't do that. You can't do that. And does this label hold any weight? I mean, I guess it could, but yeah, it's a and so yeah, so there you go. As far as Bitcoin.com, Roger Ver is now the chairman of the board, which means he's basically still in charge, but he is I got my alert box over there. You like your forks art? Yeah, I do have voice of text off because it is a little distracting during my show, but thank you everybody for donations. And if it goes too crazy, I will just raise the limit, and I'll just raise the limit, and you can't tell me not to. So anyways, let's hop into this, shall we? And so this is kind of the first mention, the significant mention, I should say, of what. Let me go over here so a little bit. There we go. Okay. So basically, this was a Chinese. It was a meeting with a bunch of miners in April about putting SegWit onto Lightning. And so, no, actually, sorry, this was in November of 2016. Yeah, I didn't think it was April. But anyway, this is like the transcript, so it must not have came out till later. But basically, this is kind of when Jihan Wu, if you didn't know who that was, if you didn't know who that is, he's CEO of Bitmain, a very huge influence in the Bitcoin world. And so basically, he doesn't want SegWit. And if you don't know what SegWit is, if you're coming into the stream, well, SegWit is called segregated witness. It basically brings the witness data, it brings a signature of the transaction and puts it outside of the transaction, in a different part of the block. And while it's not like an exploit per se, a lot of people don't like it because it basically introduces a lot of technical debt. And what I mean by this, it's a lot of complicated code for what it actually does. And a lot of people just don't think it's worth the technical debt, essentially. And so Jihan is just here saying that he's against the soft fork SegWit. And I think there's only like one guy in this meeting that actually wanted SegWit. And here's even saying, or they need to work on FlexTrans together with Bitcoin Classic. And I'm not sure exactly what FlexTrans is, but I think it's just a scaling technique. And he said, or we will only be blind followers after Core's ass, which makes you feel like you cannot see the light of day. And so Jihan obviously does not like Core, and this is November of 2016. And so we'll kind of see who these people are. And so this is Shaolin Pry, is basically the guy that came up with the plans for UASFing. And this guy basically this is dev, and there's not 100% consensus on who this guy is. There's definitely theories, which we will go into later, on who this guy is. But basically, he was the author of a bunch of UASF things. And so this is him complaining about the Global Roundtable, which is the transcript I just showed you. And he's basically complaining that it was a meeting of miners and there are no developers involved, and is very unfair. And there's a lot of things with this guy. So he made these bips, and so we're about to get technical here. I'll probably butcher it a little bit, so I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry if I butcher shit. I try. I really try. I'm not a dev. But so here's BIP 9. And BIP 9 was before BIP 8. Yeah, BIP 9 was before BIP 8. And it's basically, so this is actually this is not by Shaolin. I think Shaolin did BIP 8. So Peter Woolley, Peter Todd, Greg Maxwell, Rusty Russell, all the core people, right? This is basically how you signal that you want a UASF. And again, UASF is how you user activated soft fork. This is how you would implement SegWit. People wanted SegWit in Bitcoin for a while, but they couldn't figure out how to do it because they don't want a hard fork. And the difference between a hard fork and a soft fork is that in a hard fork, the new chain is incompatible with previous versions of the chain. In a soft fork, they are still compatible with the old chain. So essentially you could just never upgrade and still be all right. And so who's who losers. And so this is basically them signaling, and I think there's a percentage thing. Okay, so 95%. There's so many bips and everything. I was really trying to figure this all out, but we'll go to the next one. So this is BIP 8. This is not the right. I don't know how to use GitHub, so I apologize. And so we'll kind of go from there. So there's obviously disagreement already at this point, and this is where we get to the New York Agreement, which is kind of the big thing that everybody loves to talk about. And it was originally called the Barry-Silbert SegWit Agreement because Barry was kind of the first ones to push it. Sucks you guys can't really see chat over there, huh? Because I got all this white space. Let's see if I got memes under here, so I can't change it. So basically, sorry, this is Shaolin's response to it. So we'll see what the New York Agreement actually was. Thanks for the donation, Skylark. So basically, the New York Agreement would activate SegWit witness at 80% miner signaling threshold. And what miner signaling is when miners essentially they put a message in their blocks that they find that says they agree or disagree to something. And so this would only implement when 80% of the miners agreed. So the signal at bit 4 in a block header, I believe it is. And when this had happened, a 2 megabyte hard fork would also happen. And basically what happened was, I say basically too much, but 80% threshold did get reached, but the 2 megabyte did not happen. And so this was the agreement that happened May 22nd. And then our favorite Shaolin guy, an agreement forged between. And so now he's complaining about a bunch of businesses coming together and agreeing on something without inviting developers, which there were actually developers there. But he's like, oh, how do you guys agree on this without huge consensus? And then it kind of brings up the question, what is consensus, right? What is consensus? And that's kind of like a hard thing to say when you're in Bitcoin, because how do you get everybody to agree on something? And Shaolin's way of doing this is Twitter hashtags, and hats like this. And so we'll go into some more memes, but so like it's so hard to reach consensus. Like consensus happens in Bitcoin technically at the miner level with the blocks and the consensus rules, and if your node accepts or does not accept a block, right? But like how do you agree to changes before the blocks happen is kind of the real issue here. And so let's see. So the proposal does not activate BIP 141, which is SegWit, or is that 91? Gosh, I need to get them. There's too many bips, man. Too many bips. So 80% is what he's saying, because he assumed he was unable to convince 95% of the hash power, that was BIP 91. All right, let me just go real quick so I don't keep saying dumb shit. Yeah, BIP 91 is the 95% thing that was actually locked in, and not BIP 148. And so, sorry, go back here. And yeah, basically he's just complaining about it. I think this removes the primary risk of BIP 148. So basically, kind of fast forwarding to BIP 148 was scheduled for activation on August 1st, 2017. And the UASF, we'll back up even more. The UASF is essentially a bunch of nodes that signal that they want to run UASF, user activated. So they do not have any hash power behind them. They simply run a node. And from this node, they are somehow like part of the economy. And you see it come up in a lot of different places when these UASF people talk about this, is that they are economic nodes. And basically what this means is that if UASF would have happened and the miners did not agree, the UASF nodes would have been on their own chain without hash power, and they would have created their own Bitcoin fork. And like who forked from who, right? Whoever has the ticker, I suppose. And this does not happen because there was actually full miner support of this SegWit activation, which was BIP 91, before BIP 148. So in reality, UASF, what UASF did was essentially a social media campaign. And you could say they had the power because they were like wielding it and convinced the miners that they wanted this. But did they actually like physically, technically do anything? No. And if you want to fork, you need to like have new blocks, right? And if you don't have new blocks, you don't have a blockchain. And so I don't know like what their plan really was. I was listening to their whole argument. I'll just roll this real quick. So I was listening to this podcast by Shinobi, who is one of the famous core trolls, and listen to what he has to say.
That could start pushing a lot of people or entities off the network. And second, that it was essentially doubling on top of that would put the validation cost and Bitfury, Bitmain, Bitflyer.
So he's talking about the New York agreement.
Blockchain.info, Jeff Garzik block, Circle, Coinbase, F2 Pool, Gavin Andreessen, OpenBazaar, Shapeshift, via BTC. And
so right now he's complaining about all these people that like agreed to bigger blocks, which is like the 2x part and 2 megabyte, and saying how like they're all bad actors because Twitter people aren't, I guess, but actual businesses are.
So this completely changed everything for multiple reasons. One, in combination with SegWit, doubling on top of that would put the validation cost and the relay cost of running Bitcoin and throwing blocks around and validating them to a very high point that could start pushing a lot of people or entities off the network.
Okay, so I kind of introduced that wrong. So this is him. This is kind of the basis of their whole argument, right? Is that even 2 megabyte would push economic nodes off the network. And while like it's true, giant blocks would indeed do this. If you could just look at BSV, for example, where they had like a couple 100 megabyte blocks, and Money Button, like one of their main payment processors, couldn't even run a node anymore because it was too expensive. Like it's a valid concern, right? But like 1 to 2 megabyte is completely like we've proved on BCH that it does absolutely nothing, and home computers can run it very easily. And so this is kind of the whole basis of like 2x. I know I'm skipping around here a little bit, so I'm just trying to follow. This is the whole basis, is that bigger blocks going to push nodes off the network, even though these nodes like aren't doing anything really. Like yes, they're validating, and yes, they want people to have the resources, the ability to run their own node, to validate their own transactions. But like it's not like all or nothing, right? It's nuance. It's not like, oh, I all of a sudden have a bigger block, now I can't like do anything. It's nuance. It's not like yes or no. So this is so who is the Shaolin Fry? Who is this guy that like put this whole UASF thing into motion, right? So it's pretty much confirmed. It's not 100% by any means. He never came out and said it himself, but that is BTC Drock. And if you didn't know who BTC Drock is, he's basically a Bitcoin Core contributor. He is a Bitcoin Core contributor, and he actually did this coin called like Viacoin, and he hired Peter Todd to go into it, and it was like an ICO, and he dumped on people, and but he's like still around and still contributing. But like, why would you go completely anonymous for this? And the proof for this is both Shaolin and BTC Drock do this thing where when they push changes to GitHub, they use different time zones. And so you can see here Shaolin uses 5:30, and then all of a sudden he randomly uses 0:100. I'm probably not even saying that right, but it's like two different time zones. It's strange. And then all of a sudden you have Antbleed doing the same thing. So this guy is in a lot of stuff with different names. But then here's BTC Drock with the 530, I suppose you say it. And then with the 0:100 here. So it's like very unique thing that's 2 different time zones, and both the users have the thing. So that's kind of the proof behind it. And they both have interests in soft forks in general. And so it's probably BTC Drock. And here's him talking about, this is from the very beginning. This is February 2017. The whole first half of 2017, not Drock, Drac, BTC Drac. BTC Drac. If you're going to fork hard. Thanks for the bug, Vin. And some thoughts. And so he is talking about using BIP9 as a soft fork activation method, which I talked about earlier. So there's this weird thing. There was BIP 148, which is first. No. Yeah, and then BIP 149 was like their backup. I think I have it pulled up here. BIP 148 was the actual UASF, and then let me pull up BIP. I thought I had it pulled up. I have a lot of tabs right now. You can't see them. I'll show you real quick. So get kind of lost sometimes. See, here you go. And so basically what happened was if BIP 148 didn't go through, BIP 149 would have happened, and they would have implemented SegWit. I think it was like April. So yeah, if BIP9 SegWit fails to lock in. So BIP9 is like how they would have, the timing of how it would have happened. I'm totally butchering this right now. Okay, so where's this date here? Basically, BIP 149 would have implemented SegWit in April 2019. I don't see that date in here, but I remember that. And so it's like their backup. Like SegWit was gonna happen, right? SegWit was gonna happen, and oh yeah, here's BTC Drac again. Have you heard of How Long Mining? Where they were sending, where they promised like really awesome miners, and it's got the Dragon's Den logo on it, so it was like obviously catering towards the core supporters. And they had a late delivery, and their specs like did not match up to what they were promising, and essentially their miners were just rebranded in InnoSilicon. It's funny when you like have all these things on the internet, you read them all the time, but you never actually say them out loud. So it's InnoSilicon. It's basically a rebranded miner from a different company. And so it wasn't like technically a scam, but it was definitely super shady. Like they were late delivering and everything. But this is just another one BTC Drac was up to. Soft fork. What's a soft fork? Oops. All right, let me go here. Oh yeah, so this is just another shady thing about Dragon Mint. This is like a random user that says, "Hey guys, I got my Dragon Mint miner," and nobody else did. And this was in March when they were supposed to ship, and they didn't. But this guy said he did. So just like weird, very weird. And they did ship eventually, but again, they were overhyped, under-delivered. Here's BIP 149 again. And so, yeah, we kind of go... So basically, when all this happens, everybody's like, hey, UASF, like, let's do this. Let's take on the big bad miners, right? We don't like the miners. We're users. We have power. And like, while yes, you have power as a user to like buy and sell which forks you want, like you don't have any power of what blocks get mined. And like they took on this really weird persona of like military and guns. Like don't fuck with Bitcoin. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, who are you gonna shoot? Like, who are you? Is this against the miners? Like miners rule Bitcoin. I don't really understand. It's just so weird how they had this persona of just like guns, like oh, we're so badass, and it like marks a date. But again, like UASF, the only thing it might have done is like, if the miners wanted to, they didn't have to do anything. And now people are using, they use UASF as proof that like users are everything, like that running a node is the most noble thing you can do for Bitcoin, because you convince people online that you're scary because you have guns. Please high five Lena. All right, for that donation of $20, I will high five Lena for you. All right. Might have to do a fist bump. She's not like, wait. Oh, here it is. Here we go. All right. Give me bigger here.
Third particle.
Oh, nope, that was a thumbnail.
Believe that the.
All right. Let me get this going. So we're gonna have to do like a low 5 here, like this. Let me come from this way. High five, Lena. Low 5. Low 5. Thank you for the donation. They were playing off the USAF, the Air Force. Oh yeah. Duh. United Armed Soft Fork. I have some other ones in here too. I think this is a series actually. Yeah, and so like a bunch of this is from this year. Like they're like commemorating this great achievement they had. And it's like a weird like bonding thing they all have together. And it's like, oh, remember when we did this? Like we were so together and it was so fun. And like, this is from this crypto meme page that like he has so much time on his hand. That's like this is a lot of freaking different pictures all put together, right? And you can kind of see the theme here. It's army, and you got people with guns, and Shinobi's up here, BTC Drock, I should say, and then Ant Killer. This is from the same account. He was like trying to get Bitstamp to delist BCH like a couple days ago. Like, dude, like chill out. And so yeah, people love their hats. People love their hats. They love to signal that they're like part of something. right? And that's what I really see UASF as. It's signaling, right? It's signaling, but it's not doing anything. It's signaling, hey, I'm part of a tribe. I'm part of a right? It's medium blocker, small cojones. Thanks for the tips, Skylark. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the support. So yeah, basically what happened was 95% of the hash power went behind the SegWit agreement. Skylark, you show up to all of our live streams. I mean, I really appreciate it, but like, geez, man. So segregated witness was BIP 141. It locks in if they signal support for it, and they did. And so BIP 148 wasn't even activated, which is like the actual UASF one. BIP 91 did. And so kind of we'll go into kind of the personalities behind. So this is a very strange time period from basically April, May, June, July, August. Like a 5-month period. Blockstream was very busy with their hiring and what they were doing. And so, oh yeah, so here's a good one. This is from Cobra. You might have seen this. This is from, I should have pulled this up earlier. It's from 3 months ago, and he's talking about how like glamorizing the UASF was, right? And I'll go over some highlights here. UASF did not have a majority of full nodes enforcing it. Most simply signaled as UA comment. It didn't actually enforce the new consensus rules themselves. So he's saying there is they were like signaling like, yeah, let's do this, but they didn't actually like run the software. And again, it was like optional and had non-existent support from the economy and the major Bitcoin businesses who are like everybody in the New York agreement, which is like Coinbase, Bitcoin.com, Shapeshift, Bitfury, Ampool, Blockchain Info, basically like any company besides Blockstream and like Holland Mining, I guess. Like even Francis Poliot here, who I'm like blocked by because he doesn't like me, I guess. I think I have it pulled up here. No, I do not. Let me try and snag this again. I thought I had it somewhere. My incognito tabs are over here. It is. Here it is. And so this was, yeah, April, May, June. Yes, this is when Cobra posted his thing. And he isn't flack. So Francis says he's also not wrong. Nothing factually incorrect about this tweet. And this is where he says, there's a strange historical revisionism going on to make UASF seem glorious and a worthy precedent to follow in the future. It's not. UASF was a minority of nodes and a savvy social media campaign with little to no economic support. And Francis says, well, he's not wrong. There wasn't economic majority support, and it had actually gone through, I'm convinced it would have failed. And again, so UASF never actually went through. But like it's hailed as this like landmark achievement for like Twitter Bitcoiners. And it convinced it had gone through without BIP 91, which is the one that was actually gone in miner support. And it's bluff. I mean, it was a bluff, and Jihan didn't call their bluff really, and he really could have, and basically enforced a fork, caused a fork, but he did not. And so yeah, this is Francis. Francis has these like small glimmers of actual like reason sometimes. Like I was watching a Vortex stream. I don't fucking know why. CryptoCast Bitcoin News Show, and he was like actually saying some disadvantages of Lightning. And it's like, hey, this guy actually like has some points, and he's not a complete follower, but alas, he's still kind of culty. So and here's not shipping BIP 148. Luke was a clearly less safe options. Really wasn't good. I'm blocked by both these guys. It was a perilous time in history, but UASF winning without core deciding on behalf of users set a strong precedent for what BTC needs to endure. Users needed to learn it is their responsibility to defend the integrity of the system, and that time they did. And again, it's like all nodes matter, right? Like our nodes matter, and it was just a big bluff at the end of the day. Boy, is a fucking idiot. And let's see what else we got here. That's not wrong, really. And actually, so this is who Blockstream hired for a little bit to do their communications. And he was like a troll on Reddit for many like years before this, always trolling out RPTC and the like. And Blockstream hired him because good job, like that's what we do at Blockstream. You know, our proof of social media. We sell hats. We sell hat. This is Samson's hat store, the brand, the lifestyle, the hat. Like I know he's like kind of kidding, but it's like, come on, dude. Blockstream spy hat, reckless, Dragon's Den hat. Oh no, that's a Phoenix hat. This is the Dragon's hat. No 2X. So yeah, no 2X. I'll go into that a little bit too. There's a UASF hat, but yeah, proof of hat. Like it's just fucking cringy. This site. Like look at these sayings. What is a hat? A hat isn't just something you wear. A hat is the first step on the path to self-discovery. What's up, Dakota Killer? If you don't think a hat isn't the first step on the path to self-discovery, this is such a stupid statement. So that's Samson's hat site. And so this is the guy Blockstream hired, and it's supermajority. And yeah, basically he was hired and then like fired a couple months later by Blockstream right around this time. And this was also when Samson got hired, like right around, I think he got hired in April 2017 too, right before UASF happened as well. And this is, Bitcoin Core does not condone participation in network attacks to push controversial protocol changes through. Peter Todd. And so this is the guy they hired, Alex Bergman, I think it is. Lessons in propaganda, teaching the controversy. It is not about the block size, but this is an issue of Bitcoin governance. And he says, teaching the controversy is a typical PSYOP propaganda tool that amounts to creating an appearance of reasonable debate between informed persons on a reasonable subject. This has for effect of giving credibility to a lie by confusing people into thinking there are two legitimate claims being debated. Here the debate being pushed on us is that Bitcoin governance is somehow subject to be changed. Bitcoin governance is somehow subject to be changed. Yeah, no shit it is. It's about who controls the repo and who mines it. And a Blockstream employee saying this shit is just fucking hilarious. This is probably why I got hired, actually, was this. Yeah, this guy talking about propaganda. Fucking rich. Fucking rich. That's all I gotta say. It's fucking rich. So yeah, then no 2X came. And so the New York agreement was like still going on, right? So this New York agreement was still going on. SegWit was activated, and Bitcoin Cash forked already, right on August 1st, 2017, of course. And so the big blockers had their chain, and you can wonder, like, did Jihan not call the bluff because he just like wanted a completely new chain and just like didn't want to deal with SegWit at all? Like, was he just sick of it and just started mining a new chain, or like what was it? Why didn't he call the bluff? That's kind of like the big question I have going through all this, because like UASF, I suppose, was effective in convincing people SegWit was good. But anyways, 2X is going to happen September 21st. And then they sold some hats that had no 2X on them, and eventually just fell through. And there's kind of like, there's like questionable devs behind it as well. Like there wasn't a huge amount of dev that was going on for it, which is kind of like strange to begin with, because if you have SegWit already, just like double the block size, right? But again, I'm no dev, so. So yeah, no 2x happened, and everybody kind of pussied out. Eric Voorhees, special shout out to him. He said he would be a big blocker, and he supported Bitcoin 2x, and then it fell through, and he went right back to being a core guy. So, special shout out to him. At least these other companies that were in the New York agreement actually kind of kept going with the big block experiments, and didn't want to cripple the blockchain. And so that's kind of my quick and dirty high-level summary of what the UASF was. I hope I didn't butcher it too bad, and if you are actually technical, you probably like fucking hate this right now. And I apologize. This is not really for you if you actually know what happened. I'm trying to spread the word and understand it all myself. And so go back to my desk here and the nice galaxy. And so my conclusion about the UASF is that a bunch of people wanted to feel like they were important, so they made hats and hashtagged their Twitter handles and used it all the time. And then when the miners didn't call their social media bluff, they thought they won. And now they use it as proof that they're the most important people in Bitcoin. So, and what did you say? It really just showed the potential of social astroturfing, and so probably convinced the miners, given that they didn't want the Bitcoin price to drop and make mining less profitable, even if it was better long term to call it bluff. Yeah, I mean, you see that miners are very passive just to begin with. The only time you really like seen hash move significantly is during actual hard forks, right? And kind of the hash war, I suppose, with BCH and BSV is the real good example of it. And you don't really see it move. They really just want to like do what's profitable, like you said. And it could have been disastrous. There could have been an actual like fork of BTC, like a BTC UASF and a BTC non-UASF BIP 148 BCH party in Miami in January. Alright, sounds fun. I'll be there. It's like an 8-hour drive for me though, but that's okay. It sounds fun. Was that all the memes that I had? All the hats? Oh, yeah. And so basically this can all be summed up in this nice image over here that I'll pull up in 1 second. Is that Bitcoin Core people like to social media campaign behind their computers, and the BCH gang is out here wild and with Spice Token and having a good time, Chads, and so yeah. So I guess like what's the solution to future UASFs? Just proper education, I guess. I mean, we do have our own chain now in Bitcoin Cash, so, but of course, peer-to-peer cash will always be disrupted, and it will always be attacked. And so, what is the solution? How do we make sure this shit don't happen again? And just call people out. And when you do this on Twitter, you will get blocked by everybody. If you haven't seen it, it's on my Twitter. Blocked by, let's see, just like the people in this. Blocked by him. I don't know who that is. I'm blocked by him. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Blocked by him. Blocked by him. So spread the good word. Spread the good word. That's all I can say. That's the only real thing. And hopefully miners can get their heads out of their asses and not do stupid shit. But again, miners usually just mine what's profitable in the short term, and then hopefully they buy what they want to. And so yeah, I'll wrap the actual episode up here on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, come over to dlive.tv/Collin instead, and we're gonna keep partying. So what did you say? When will Tether crash and burn? I'm worried the significant amount of Tethers prop BCH. Tether's propping everything, so everything will crash if Tethers crash. So sorry. Yeah, miners got a lead. Miners do rule the network. They mine the blocks. They're the ones that actually produce the transactions. People in hats don't. So, but they think they do. They think they do, and I suppose they do have power if miners listen to them. So miners just gotta stop being pussies. That's the moral story. Miners stop being pussies. So, anyways, see you YouTube.